You're listening to Radio Long Island City, recorded at our studios near Hell Gate, 9 kilometers north of the Harbor Hill Moraine. And now, the Observatory. The Observatory, Wednesday the 11th of February, 2026. It is 52 days after the winter solstice. It is 37 days before the spring equinox. The sun rises today at 6:55 a.m. Solar noon takes place today at 12:10 p.m. The sun sets today at 5:26 p.m., civil twilight ends at 5:54 p.m., and nautical twilight ends at 6:26 p.m. The length of daytime today is 2 minutes, 26 seconds longer than yesterday. The moon is in its waning crescent phase and is 30% full at midday. The moon rises today at 2:57 a.m. and sets at 11:38 a.m. The new moon will arrive on Tuesday, the 17th of February. These are the predicted tides today for Horns Hook. In the early morning, high tide, 4:54 a.m., 1 meter 13. In the late morning, low tide, 11:21 a.m., 9 centimeters. In the evening, high tide, 5:28 p.m., 91 centimeters. At night, low tide, 11:30 p.m., 15 centimeters. In our shared realm of plants and animals, at the far eastern end of Ditmars Boulevard, where the houses get smaller and have larger yards, there are quite a few noble spruce trees. The average height of the buildings in that part of the neighborhood is just 2 or 3 stories, and most are freestanding, not built up against their neighbors. As a result, the tall spruces, probably 30 or 40 years old, stand tall and majestic in the landscape. There are also lots of stands of eastern red cedar and eastern white cedar, both native trees. Because there is space, the trees are planted in long rows, rather than standing cramped and isolated in narrow front yards. It's a demonstration of how the patterns of our buildings also affect which trees we plant and how they can thrive. Commemorations. On this day in 1774, Phyllis Wheatley wrote a letter to the Reverend Sampson Occam. It was later published in the Connecticut Journal newspaper. Wheatley was the first black poet to publish a book in North America. As a child, she was abducted in West Africa and sold to slavers. She was transported to Boston. Despite being enslaved, she received an education, and shortly after publishing her book, Poems on Various Subjects, Religious and Moral, she was freed. The letter she wrote on this day was addressed to Sampson Occam, who was a Presbyterian minister of the Mohegan tribe. In it, she argued forcefully that the concept of liberty that was circulating through the pre-revolutionary colonies should be extended to include black and native people. She wrote, "In every breast God has implanted a principle which we call love of freedom. It is impatient of oppression." It was one of the earliest demands written by a black person in America for equality and justice. On this day in 1897, the White Rose Home for Colored Working Girls was founded in New York City. It was established by the black activists Victoria Earl Matthews and Maricha Ramond Lyons. It was designed to be a home for newly arrived black women from the South and the West Indies. Matthews and Lyons recognized that young women arriving in New York were often taken advantage of by unscrupulous con artists. Volunteers met incoming vessels in the harbor and invited young women to the White Rose, where they had safe lodging and educational programs. First located at 217 East 86th Street, it moved in 1918 to 262 West 136th Street, where it remained open until 1984. Remember those who work hard to ensure human dignity and betterment. On this day in 1963, The French Chef, hosted by Julia Child, premiered on WGBH in Boston. It was one of the first cooking shows on American television. In a well-appointed but recognizably middle-class kitchen, Julia Child made the art of French cooking available to a wide audience. Her approachable style included occasional mishaps, and in small asides she shared the skills and lore of the kitchen. She once said on the show, "You don't have to cook fancy or complicated masterpieces, just good food from fresh ingredients." A somber anniversary. On this day in 1979, the Islamic theocracy in Iran was established by Ayatollah Khomeini. Many people who had struggled to overthrow the Shah were shocked that a country of such rich cultural heritage and diversity could fall under the rule of the clerics. Finally, today is National Inventors' Day in the United States. Originally proclaimed by President Reagan, it honors the birthday of Thomas Alva Edison and all those whose exploratory spirit devises new inventions. And that is the Observatory, Wednesday the 11th of February, 2026.